doesn't pay.
I take it that Sterling's attitudes are not widely shared among the owners, but how do you prevent that kind of ugliness from getting out, and how do you keep it out of the league?
You don't.
You don't?
There's no law against stupid. I learned a long time ago, you can't, in talking, not from action, but you can't beat stupid out of people. You can't talk stupid out of people. You can't expect stupid to disappear or dissipate. You can try to help people who are, and that's typically what I try to do when I find it in my organizations. But I also try not to be a hypocrite. I know I'm prejudiced. I know I'm bigoted in a lot of different ways. And I've said this before, if I see a black kid in a hoodie at night on the other side of the street, bouncing, I'm probably, on the same side of the street, I'm probably gonna walk to the other side of the street. If I see a white guy with a shaved head and lots of tattoos, I'm going back to the other side of the street, right? If I see anybody that looks threatening, probably chances are there's part of me that takes into account race and gender and age. I'm prejudiced. But other than safety issues, I try to always catch my prejudices and recognize and be very self-aware that, my stream of thought is never perfect, and I've got to be careful. And, to me, that's part of growing up, and that's part of, it's what I try to instill in my kids, that, none of us have pure thoughts. We all live in glass houses, and that part of maturing is recognizing when you're having thoughts that probably aren't right, catching yourself and going forward. But not everybody does that. And whether you're an employee or an employer, people are going to be stupid and make mistakes. And the thing that scares me about this whole thing is I don't want to be a hypocrite, and I think I might have to be. And that's, being a hypocrite bothers me more than anything after my family, so it won't be fun.
A hypocrite in what way?
Well, I just sat here and said I'm a bigot. I just didn't say it out loud.
Let me create a kind of.
And let me qualify that, because someone's going to take it as a media thing, right? I've always got to be careful now. I think we're all bigots. Right? And I don't think there's any question about that. But I also think that I was raised, I remember when I was, one of my earliest memories, my father telling, my uncle was the superintendent of the DC school districts in the 60s, all right? And I remember us sitting down and being very clear to me that the way we think in this family is that everybody's equal, that if you go back and look at the history of people who have been oppressed, that's never been for a good reason, and it's never valid, and that's never acceptable, and of everything and anything you possibly can do, treating anybody differently for race, religion, or any other reason is wrong. But that doesn't mean you're not going to have those thoughts from time to time, right? We all succumb to those thoughts, and you've got to realize that when you have those thoughts, they're wrong. And as my point in saying all this is I do, Like I said, I'll go to the other side of the street. But to me, that makes me a hypocrite in some respects by trying to hold somebody else to a different standard. So I'm sure that'll be all over the place, but.